Apostles Corner. This is your host, Brian A. Harris, and I am here with my co-host, beautiful, very attractive co-host, the one and only.
The one and only.
Dr. Kimberly R. Harris.
Hey, everyone. That was a beautiful introduction.
That was wonderful, actually. I think I just thought of that right before when I got on. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna say it. It just came to my mind, and I'm trying not to just say whatever comes to my mind. But I think that
was okay.
Was amazing.
It was.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Oh, don't start that. It won't be nothing. Yeah, so this is the Apostles Corner. Hey, listen, guys, thank you so much for subscribing and your support. It is very appreciated. That's
yes.
I came up with that whole big old phrase, and now I can't even say appreciate it.
I got you back.
Thank you so much.
That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here. The Bible calls you a help meet.
Yes.
So you meet the need in the area where I need help.
Yes.
And obviously trying to find words is where I need help. All right, so there we go. So we are back this week for episode 2 of season 3, Boundaries.
Yes.
Man, y'all response last week was crazy. Like, we were getting text messages and inboxes from out of state, around the country, just different things, people responding to last week's subject on boundaries, and talking about the need for boundaries. And the more we talked about it last week, of course, we went like an hour and a half.
Yeah. And
I mean, God, it was the more I recognize sometimes in some areas where we're talking about how far I am away from the healthy boundaries that I need. And when you look at that, you have regret, and you start thinking, man, there's some things that should have never happened. Yeah. If I had just known. Yeah. That's why ignorance it costs a lot. Yes. It's very costly. And what we don't know can literally destroy our lives. And, I am very appreciative and thankful for the knowledge that, we have researched and studied and continue to research and study, and just the life experience that we've had, what I'm saying? And
putting it into practice. And, and being able to see that you don't always get it right. And there are some areas where you can look and see, man, like you just said, that if I only had a boundary there, then those things never would have happened. That led to these things, and it's just a snowball effect. Yeah. But then you can also look back and see, I did pretty good right there. Yeah. Because I may not have even known that I was setting a boundary there, but because I can see some victories as well as some areas where I need improvement, then I can say, okay, how was I able to set a boundary with this person or in this relationship? Because I can see how it really helped me. Let me take some of that, courage or whatever it took to be able to do it with one person, and let me carry that over and be able to do that with other people. Yeah.
Man, that's so good. This episode too is the levels of boundaries. And, we didn't finish, and I don't think we'll ever finish an actual podcast, because this is just this is going to go where it's going to go. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm so excited about that, because we just going to roll right through it. Like, wherever we stop, because we just got to stop, because we can't, we don't have enough technology to keep us going for an amount of months at a time. So let me go back to, the definition of boundaries. And boundaries are actually expectations and needs that help you feel safe and comfortable in your relationships. Expectations in relationships help you stay mentally and emotionally well. Learning when to say no and when to say yes is also an essential part of feeling comfortable when interacting with other people. And I'm just going to give you this list again. Signs that you need boundaries. For those who are brand new to the podcast or just now tuning in to to this particular episode, this is how you know you need boundaries right here. You feel overwhelmed. You feel resentment toward people for asking you for help. You avoid phone calls and interactions with people you think might ask for something. You make comments about helping people and getting nothing in return. You feel burned out. You frequently daydream about dropping everything and disappearing. You have no time for yourself.
Yes.
Yes. And there it is.
Yeah. I did want to add, when you were reading the definition of boundaries, said that, there are things that keep you mentally and emotionally well, but they can also keep you physically well. Because I don't think we think about sometimes how we are physically affected when our mental and our emotional are not well. Mm-hmm. You can become physically unwell.
Oh yeah.
At the same time, and for some people, lack of boundaries can lead to physical abuse in relationships.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I didn't want to leave that out, the physical part too,
Yeah.
because it can very much be affected.
Which is why a lot of people are like, kind of slothful and, maybe dealing with, pain in their body, migraine headaches, that they just can't get away because of the additional stress that the lack of boundaries create.
Right.
And man, if boundaries are not going to make themselves.
Right.
You have to make them. Mm-hmm. You have to do, and it sounds selfish, but it's not. There's a difference in selfishness and self-care. There's a difference in being selfish and self-care. And I think we are almost manipulated in our thinking in the culture to feel guilty for taking care of ourselves.
Right. While at the same time, people are promoting self-care.
Right.
But only if your self-care doesn't create a boundary for me.
For them, yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of like what we said
It can't interfere with what I want from you.
Yes.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
But still give me everything I
But
want.
make sure you pin my life and my desires for you in your boundary.
Right.
I need to be able to have access to your life regardless of what you're trying to do for yourself.
Yeah.
Do it for everybody else because I know ain't nobody else any good for you, but I am. Please don't, you know what I'm saying? And so just that entitlement. A couple of things you can learn from last week was we talked about the reasons, and I'm not going to go through all of these. I want you to go back and listen to it. I'm not going to go through all that. So reasons people don't respect your boundaries. One of them is you don't take yourself seriously. So just go back and listen at that. Then it talked about the meaning for boundaries. One of them is they are a safeguard to overextending yourself. So just go back and listen to that. And today we're going to talk about. Let me just do this. You know what? I didn't go through this last week, so let me go through this right quick. I think we got to a certain. We got to reason people don't respect your boundaries, and I think we just kept going. So let me just start right here. Then let's just do that. Right.
Okay. First, I wanted to show people and remind them of the resource one of the resources that we're using is a book called Set Boundaries, Find Peace. It is called A Guide to Reclaiming Your Life by Nedra Glover Tawwab. I believe I said that right. I'm not really sure. It's a New York Times bestseller, but it's called Set Boundaries, Find Peace, A Guide to Reclaiming Your Life. And so some of the things that we are talking about are come from this resource as well. So it comes with a workbook that you can work through and do activities that it guides you through for yourself, just exercises to practice. Because you don't want this to just be theoretical information that you gather. Yeah. You want to be able to little by little put it into practice. And you want to do it along the way because it takes a lot when you haven't been a person who has set boundaries to begin to do those things.
It takes a lot. I mean, honestly, the things that you're going to have to deal with a lot when it comes to boundaries. And I feel it even as I speak. I said something online yesterday. I was like, last week I was like, oh man, I said that. And then I thought of a person or a couple of people that's in my life that I know that if they heard this, they be like, he talking about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not because I'm being petty. It's just that I know the access that I've given to certain people. Mm-hmm. And I don't, when I say what I'm about to say, you're going to deal with a lot of feelings when it comes to boundaries. And so you're going to have to try to get your feelings under control so you can make a conscious decision because your feelings are not going to let you think properly. Mm-hmm. Your feelings and your attachments to people and how you think they're going to respond to you is sometimes going to interfere, and they come to interfere with the appropriate decision that you need to make to keep your life healthy for those people, even if you're gonna keep them in your life, right?
Yes.
So I see a lot of feelings involved when it comes to boundaries, and we are people of feeling, and this generation, anxiety is at its all-time high 9 times out of 10 because of, and I say this, I believe this is why, because we a lot of comparing and competition through social media, so anxiety is always high. We got to try to, push our lives to that next level and make ourselves look like that we are, where we sometimes really not, just to keep up. So it's a lot of, competing feelings and desires and all that, and we're just like losing our minds, trying to get there. So we don't know how to place boundary between us and our cell phone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we certainly not going to be able to place a boundary between me and a person that I love, right? Because I'm too busy trying to show the person that I love who I am on social media.
Right. Or maybe just, if you can't create a boundary between you and someone who's on the other side of a screen, who can't see you, who doesn't know, who you are following, they may not even know you're following them, and you're basing your emotions and things off of just what they may not even be talking to you, but what you're seeing about their lives that they are putting on display. And then you create these unrealistic expectations for yourself. And then you try to live up to these unrealistic expectations that you set for yourself, because those people were minding their business, whether they are posting, out of their emotions, or whether they're just posting about their life, the parts of their life that, they want you to see, whatever it is, that has nothing to do with you. But when you make it about you, you cross a boundary that you really should have set for yourself. Because I feel like you have to set boundaries for yourself, even with things like social media. Otherwise, you can get caught up in this whole world that's not even real.
It's not real.
And start trying to create a life for yourself around a world that is not real. And then having problems with people in real life based on this idea that you've got in your head that you created really from your activity and the boundaries that you didn't have with your cell phone or your computer screen. Looking at, things that you really don't have the true real picture of. You just get these snippets of things and create these thoughts, and your mind just goes with it. As long as you let it go, it's just going to run.
It's going to go with it. It's going to roll with it.
So having boundaries for how much time you spend, because those are things that, and it talks about it a little bit in this book about social media, and for that very reason, because you can create these times of high anxiety for yourself because you're trying to keep up with something that's not even real. And meanwhile, the people who you're trying to keep up with are going on with their real life. You don't even know what that really looks like. You're trying to keep up with the picture of their life on social media. And then meanwhile, burning yourself out. Not saying no because you want to be the superhero in everybody's lives. Or to be seen like the person who can have it all and do it all. Because these are what the snippets are that you're seeing of other people's lives on social media.
That's incredible. And that's true. One of the notes I have is it's not easy to set limits, especially with the people we love. Just got you said that, right? So it may seem far worse to risk someone making. It may seem far worse to risk making someone mad than to have an uncomfortable conversation. We just got through having that conversation as a family with Kiana. Just having that conversation with her. How many valuable relationships, and not that we had problems, we were just talking, how many valuable relationships could have been saved if only we were willing to have uncomfortable conversations? Wow, that's very powerful. Well, here's the problem that I've discovered in uncomfortable conversations. I'm the type of person, I like to get to the bottom of things. Unfortunately, that doesn't really work out well for me. It doesn't work out well for me with the people that I talk to, because
you have to set limits on how far you're going to go, because you are limitless.
I am.
And you can only go so far as the other person is going to allow you to go. And so if you keep drilling past a certain limit when you already can see, I'm not going to get anywhere with this person. And then it's like slamming your head against a brick wall, because you have to have a limit. Like, I want to get to the bottom of things. And that's not a bad trait. That's a good thing. Because it helps to if
understand.
the other person is willing.
That's
It's helpful to get to the bottom of the issue, to create a space and maybe boundaries that can help you move along in a healthy way in the relationship moving forward. But the other person has to be willing. If they're only willing to a certain degree or a certain extent, you have to already have that in your mind. Okay, I'm only going to go as so far with this drilling, but you don't normally have an end point to the drilling.
Let's fix that, because that's not necessarily true no more.
Well,
because I have learned.
It has been, in the past.
I have I'm glad you did. I'm glad you said that, because that's the setup for what I want to talk about. It's our expectation.
Yes.
Of the other party wanting to resolve the issue like you do.
Yes.
That's the problem right there.
We assume that if I want to get to the bottom of this, then they must want to get to the bottom of it to move in it. But you may, and everybody's in a different space. Everybody's in a different level. Everybody moves at a different pace as far as what they've learned and what they from their experiences, and then things that we've studied, and the things that we are learning and growing in.
Yeah.
The person on the other side of that conversation may not have grown to the point where they even understand that this is a healthy thing. Yeah. And it's not, I'm not trying to pick a fight with you.
Right.
It's not an argument. We're not tearing each other down. It's not.
Right.
It may be a challenging conversation.
Yeah.
But they may not be in a space in their life where they want to be challenged, or where they're ready to issue a challenge on the other side of that. You know what I'm saying? To just work through the hard stuff.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that you brought to my attention, in our family, I grew up. I think I've been tortured by the Lord some kind of way, because I grew up. I'm the only guy. I'm married in a family. I'm the only guy. So there's not a lot of testosterone. It doesn't make me special. It makes me frustrated because it's hard to be anything less than a man. So when you I kind of pride myself in being able to communicate with women until you're trying to address them in ways that they don't want to be addressed, even if it's healthy. So for me, let me just move on. So I just feel like God's tortured me a little bit, because you and Kiana, y'all gonna agree every time. Ooh, you just got a big mouth. You know what I'm saying? You just talk loud. You don't understand the power of your voice, and then y'all
agree on the truth.
Whatever. you don't understand the power of your voice. You just, even before the podcast today, I was setting up, and she was laying on the couch over here. She had a meeting or something, and so she came to the house, and she was like, I was listening to the podcast and I was really into it and I was enjoying it. And Mom was talking, and here you go, your big mouth. Oh no, that was so good. That was so good. It's like I prided myself over talking low. I was saying that I was so thankful Sunday in my sermon. I'm talking right now. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, like I prided myself Sunday. Like I didn't yell that much. I'm trying to learn to be calm and cool and just have this resting voice where I can be received verbally, because everybody thinks because I'm passionate and I'm loud that when it comes to me trying to address things, I'm so full of hope that people don't always take it the right way. So they think I'm coming for them. They think, hey, what's up, man? Or a girl, whatever, homie, whatever. I just want to sit down and talk. I just want to, and they see that energy that's coming from me. They don't see that as me being excited about when we leave here, I believe things going to be better. They see that as a threat and they see it as an attack. They feel like the energy that I bring to the room is somehow finna grab them by the throat or something and demand that this issue, is taken care of. And then I get to walk out the room. I won. You're passed out because you can't breathe because I choked you. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just being real. Like, honestly, that's the way I feel like people receive me when I try to come to them and have the uncomfortable conversations, because I'm not afraid of uncomfortable conversations. Our marriage would not have made it 18 years and above if it wasn't for uncomfortable conversations. I don't think that I would be a developing pastor if it wasn't for uncomfortable conversations. You're never going to get anywhere without uncomfortable conversations. On your job, if you are messing up, at some point your boss or someone that's in charge is going to have an uncomfortable conversation. If you're speeding down the freeway and you get stopped by the police, which is a very uncomfortable situation these days, period, especially if you're African American. But if it's your fault, it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation and situation. And what I'm trying to say is that in life, you're going to have to, at some point, mature to the place emotionally and mentally that you're able to hear what someone is saying, even about you, and be able to properly communicate so you can get to the bottom of it. Because here's the truth. What happens if our interpretation of you is wrong? You finally give us the truth, not what you want us to believe, the actual truth, and then the whole conversation, is resolved. And now we understand you better. So when we see it again, we understand, this is where they are. A lot of times people want to be understood without having the conversation that will cause you to be understood. And that right there frustrates me when it comes to relationships, because when things are not right, I like to get to the bottom of it. I don't like having issues with people. I don't like having problems with folks. I just don't. I also know that I've learned to not try to resolve stuff so quickly, because I got to wait till they're ready.
Right. And I think that's part of it too, making sure that everybody's ready to have the conversation who needs to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people need to process, and that's just, everybody doesn't process the same. And so it can cause more conflict if you, I need to get to it now, but if they're not ready, a conversation that could have gone well if you had just waited a little bit is not going to go well, because if someone tells you, okay, I need to take some space first before I talk about this. Yeah. Give me a moment.
Yeah.
Maybe we can set up a time, tomorrow or whatever. Now, don't let it go on for a long time. But if that moment that, if it happened in 2 minutes ago and now I need to talk about it right now, they may not be in the headspace to talk. And you honestly, even though you want to get to the bottom of it, may not really be in the headspace in that moment.
That's another good point, because sometimes their disregard or rejection of me trying to fix it, I'm not emotionally prepared for how it's going to impact me when they shove my desires back in my face and said, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And they don't say it that they're not doing it, but their response, what they point at as the problem or the situation, or they say it ain't nothing, and clearly there's something.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just because people get defensive if they're not ready in that moment to receive what it is that you have to say. Yeah. And they can maybe go away even after a conversation of conflict happens, they may go away and 10 minutes later calm down and realize that there was really nothing wrong being said in the conversation.
And this was actually an opportunity.
They were just not ready in that moment to hear and receive it. Yeah. And so both parties have to take responsibility for that, because sometimes we want to rush to a resolution, but it's not always the right and the appropriate time. You said something a minute ago about on your job, at some point, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, then you and your boss or supervisor or whoever are going to have an uncomfortable conversation. Well, we do something at my job, and it seems like it comes up very quickly and it's time consuming. We do check-ins. We do spring check-ins, fall check-ins, and the regular annual review. And then we do weekly meetings with the team, all this stuff, and one-on-one meetings. But it's so that you have these regular times of conversation before things get this big, huge.
Yeah.
We can address small things along the way. Yeah. And sometimes people ignore the small things and opportunities to address small things along the way. And then you have to have these huge, terribly uncomfortable conversations. And you have to bring up all of these things from along the way, when you really could have just said and set boundaries along the way as you were having these conversations about the smaller things. You know, this is, you can't call in or say that you're going to be late 3 out of 5 days of the week. What's going on? Tell me what's, you know what I'm saying? Because if you don't, then you don't have a boundary there for, you need to show up for work on time. And then when the person is just, you know, then 5 days of the week, they come in 3 hours late because they have an excuse every single day that they feel is valid because you've let it go on. Then now you're going to have this huge uncomfortable conversation where you could have said, hey, I noticed this happening.
Yes.
Is there something going on? Let me know. You know, let's have this tiny bit of discomfort in a conversation rather than getting to a degree where, you know, then it's a shutdown, it's a defense, it's a wall thrown up, and you don't ever get past that point when you really could have said something 6 months ago. Yeah.
It's so important, man, because, man, and then like, you know, if you hit them with a list of things, because things have just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger because they just kept on crossing that boundary for you, and you shut down and tried not to, you know, deal with them in that area based on that offense, you know, on 2 or 3 things, and then they just keep on doing things, and it's like you try and decide. But
that's the exact wrong thing to do.
Well, it is. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's the thing. It is. But I'm saying, if a person is not ready to address the things incrementally, then the offenses keep growing. So when you decide you say, okay, I can't take it no more, I'm going to have to go ahead and sit this person down and talk, they're not often ready to hear about all those things. And so what they really don't really understand, by avoiding the conversations incrementally, the incremental conversation where like, okay, everything that we pop up, we're just going to, you know, talk about it in the moment and go and get it over with, set a boundary, let's fix this and do whatever, then we deal with one thing at a time. Well, eventually when you do sit down and talk to that person, because here's the thing that's going to happen. Either there's going to be a blowout or there's going to be a sit down conversation. One or the other. Because ignoring it doesn't change it.
Right.
If it's going to build, even if you're the offender, you may think, oh, I'm doing all this junk and I'm just getting by with it. They ain't saying nothing. And then in their minds, you're thinking, okay, they just overlooking it. They either love me enough or they just too weak to tell me about myself. And so that makes the person think, well, I'm walking on top of them. Well, if that person stays quiet only because they don't want to hurt you, eventually you keep hurting them, then, you know, I mean, they're gonna scream at some point. They're either gonna scream or they're gonna be saying, okay, I can't take it no more. I love you, but I got to tell you this. And either this is gonna save the relationship or it's gonna destroy it. But I gotta tell you the truth, right? So when you do that, that person is not usually willing. And it's so crazy because sometimes they act. I say act like they have amnesia. Like they have totally forgot. This is what they said. This is what they did, and then a lot of times people come with this manipulative talk, almost trying to change your mind about what you heard about what they said or what they did. You right? Yeah. So now they don't remember anything. They don't remember ever, even if they, you know, don't deny it. They'll try to say, well, I just don't remember all of that. I don't remember doing any of that. But clearly, this is a part of your default response system when it comes to things that you don't like or getting people off of you or whatever the case may be. And I remember a time where I was talking to someone one time, and it was in a group, and so I was addressing the whole group, and so I was doing, you know, groups of people at a time, and I got on the phone, and that person was like, you know, basically, don't come for me, and I'm like, this ain't a don't come for you kind of question, or this not a, you know, I'm not coming for you. It's a question that I'm asking everybody.
I think sometimes those things happen too, because in relationships, because you have to set boundaries about what kind of communication you're going to allow someone to have for you. Because I probably could have had the same meeting with the same group of people, and the same person, whoever it was that said, don't come for me, to you would probably never have said, don't come for me to me, because I have different boundaries for how people I'm going to allow people to communicate with me, because if I don't communicate with you like that, you're not going to communicate with me like that. And the longer you let people feel like they can communicate to you like that, then they're going to communicate to you like that to keep you from addressing any of the things that need to be addressed or from having those conversations. And it has to be done. Like you said, if you bring this big list to people, they're going to not remember. And sometimes people really, truly don't remember every single
I agree.
thing. Because when we're the ones that are offended, sometimes we remember way more details about what happened than the person who was the
Actually
offender.
offended, yeah.
And so it may be real that they don't remember every single thing, but that's why we can't get too far away from the situation. It may not be in the heat of the moment that it needs to be addressed, but you can't get too far away from the situation before you try to address it, because then it becomes incrementally difficult.
Yeah. Let's move on just a little bit, man. I could stay right there, but we want to keep it, go a little bit deeper. So uncomfortable conversations may feel like conflict, which is why it gets tense.
Yeah.
But they often bring clarity. And clarity, here we go, y'all, saves relationships.
It does.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Clarity, that uncomfortable conversation could save a relationship.
Yes.
Now we got to ask ourselves, do we value the relationship?
Right.
That's what we have to ask ourselves. Do we value the relationship? Now, all of us need to learn this. People do not know what you want. It's your job to make it clear.
Yes.
Why? Because clarity, once again, saves relationship. If you don't ever tell me what you want, especially like, in ministry, people think, well, you're supposed to be prophetic, so God gonna tell you everything that I need, and then I'm just gonna wait for you to prophesy. Well, no, I beg to differ, that there are some things God won't speak to me. And the reason why God won't speak it to me is because he has given you the ability to open your mouth
Yes.
and say what you need.
And speak for yourself.
You come to the prayer line, don't expect for God to always speak to me. You came to the prayer line because of what you know. And not all the time, but sometimes you come to the altar because you know God wants something. You want me to lay hands on you, want me to pray, but maybe you need to give me what to pray for, because that's what's called touching and agreeing. Well,
Right.
touching and agreeing is not just me touching and saying, okay, yeah, I got somebody I can touch. No, it's you telling me what we praying for. I'm your prayer partner, but what are we praying for?
Right.
What is it that you are in dire need of?
Because I might not want to touch and agree with you on that.
Exactly.
And that's my choice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it may be
That's good too.
it may be frustrating for people because there's no magic and sorcery here. Like you have been given the ability to express for yourself what your needs are in any situation. And whether that's in relationships with people, whether that's in prayer, whether that's when you are interviewing for a job, if you know what salary you're not going to accept anything under this, then that's what you need to express, the boundary, you know what I'm saying, for your salary expectation that you need to set. If they don't meet that expectation on the first go, that's why you always can come back and negotiate. Hey, here's my counter offer. The ball is in your court. You can do that with anything in your life, even when you're setting boundaries. People aren't always going to respond with just an acceptance of the boundary.
Yeah, that's
okay, I'm going to do it that way. They're all 9 times out of 10, there's going to be some sort of a rebuttal.
Right.
If the rebuttal is reasonable, most of the time, a reasonable rebuttal is going to be one that just needs you to clarify so that they have more understanding, not one that's going to cause you to change your boundary. Right. And I think that's what you were trying to get to at some point in this.
No, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. That's I'm listening, because we got about 25, 30 minutes here. So watch this. Understanding boundaries is creating healthy boundaries leads to feeling safe, loved, calm, and respected.
Yes.
So let me. I don't want to keep stopping here because this is so good
and on both sides.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. That's why we need to understand is how necessary uncomfortable conversations are, because it's not disrespectful to come to you and want to work things out. Yes. That's me saying I value you.
Yes, I respect you.
I respect you enough to tell you the truth. Like if I'm really your friend, even the husband and wives should be able to say, "Hey, look, I'm not gonna lie. You want to kiss at night. You want to lay down. You want to lay on my chest at night and want me to hold you and all. I don't feel like holding you because you mean all day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you neglect me all day.
Yeah.
You want me to perform and I don't feel like it. You know what I'm saying? You ain't really said nothing to me all day. You been on your phone all day, or you talk to your friends, or you hung with your boys, or you know what I'm saying? Your job meant more, or your this or that, golf meant more to you, the football, whatever, your television shows, Lifetime, whatever it is, or the kids meant more. Whatever the case may be, you neglected me all day, and now you want me to, now you keep doing that. You know, first of all, you're going to feel that coldness if y'all got any kind of connection before you even open your mouth. Mm-hmm. So you're going to feel, I know when things get, tight with us, because they do. Like, we're people. Yeah. And so we get busy and stuff, or whatever the case may be, or neglectful. We're human. We get neglectful or whatever. And so then, you can tell when something is missing. It's almost like we don't even remember the last time we kissed each other, last time we been on a date, last time we held hands, last time we sat and held a conversation, last time, whatever it is. You can always tell when something is, if you connected. That's the thing. That's the key right there. If you are connected, you're going to feel that distance. That same distance, I think, is felt in any loving relationship, whether it's marriage, whether it's friends, whether it's your family, whether it's the distance you feel with your children, whether it's the distance you feel with people on your job, any relationship you have in your church, pastor, member, we feel that distance. Mm-hmm. And so how do you work that out? In order to do it, you need clarity, so you need those uncomfortable conversations. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Again, this means that I do respect you. Mm-hmm. I didn't come to have this conversation to disrespect you. Right. And I think many times we feel that way because of either our environment that we grew up in. Anytime people approach, it was always, let's throw down, fight, tossing off earrings, putting on Vaseline. You know what I'm saying? We ready to throw for blows. We putting on the boxing glove, and we need to understand healthy boundaries. In healthy boundaries, this is not that thing. Right. Sometimes you're just being triggered. We're just being triggered. Behaviors that seem familiar. Yes. And I think that's why we have to be mindful, like you were saying, like, if you coming in hot, like you have to be mindful that even though your intentions may be good, that may be a trigger for someone who has been, who grew up maybe verbally abused or being yelled at. Even though you're not yelling, if your volume level is at a level that seems like, because people's bodies respond and react to triggers, especially from unhealed traumas and things that they may not even be aware, like, why does that bother me so bad? Then it's not changing your person for you to bring your volume level down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And that's good, because we can say that even about our relationship. You're quiet, I'm loud. You can be in your office and door closed. I'm feeling my little goofy self or whatever. I want to come in, I'm teasing you. I'm coming in, you think, it's like you want to know who putting out a fire. Your eyes get all big, sitting at your desk, you like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, did I scare you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have no intentions on doing that. It's the volume and the intensity at which I walk through the door. Yeah. Like, boom. Yeah. You sitting there, you're like, well, you need to stop that. You know what I'm saying? The other day when I was on a meeting and you just started random yelling through the living room. Yeah. So I had to hurry up and put myself on mute. Right. Yeah. And I was yelling at you from the kitchen. Yeah. I didn't realize it. You know what I'm saying? So like, I do agree. That's something I really learned. I'm grateful for that. Yeah. Because you do have it's that volume level that's coming into that conversation. Yeah. That matters, man. Because like, you can startle, like you startled me just in the house, like, baby. And I'm just like, and you absolutely want nothing at all. It's like, why did you have to come in? Or like sometimes when I'll be studying the word, if I be studying the word and I get excited about something, I bust and I'm like, girl, and you be like, oh, what? And I'm thinking like something happened, oh my God. And it's like, okay, you raised my anxiety level way up here. Yeah. And it's like, and then when you say what you have to say, it's like, oh. But sometimes we can be like that in conversations when we're getting ready to speak to somebody about what we want to say. Yeah. It triggers, it may, how we come in and, on the approach can determine how the rest of that conversation goes, or if we even get to have the conversation, because it's like,
you made my heart stop on the way you came at me, and you really were just trying to tell me something that was simple, that wasn't a big deal. But if that triggers me in some way, then in that immediately, I'm not ready to have that conversation.
Exactly. And I'm so grateful to learn that. And let me just say this too. And this is definitely off the script, but it's very true. And that is this, man. Like, whatever you do, all of us need to learn, really, honestly, how to talk to somebody. Like, we don't, one of the biggest rules that I had when we first got married, I'm not going to say anything to you. This is one I came up with. I'm not going to say anything to you that I don't want you to say it to me. I'm not going to say anything to you in a way that I don't want you talking to me. Because I ain't going to lie, there's a certain way I want to be talked to. But there's also, I realize that I'm gonna be a first partaker of that rule because it's my rule. It's my rule. I can't handle people just raising their voice at me, screaming, yelling, and hollering because I grew up there, and I don't want to live like that in my life. Now I'm loud, but generally when I want to talk to you, I don't like.
You're still loud.
But I mean, the difference. I don't think
you realize that.
But the difference. But
sometimes I'll just be like this. I'll put my hand up to bring it down, just to let you know
that my volume is too high.
That your volume is too high for the conversation that we're having.
Yeah, but I'm saying like my behavior is not like, there's a difference between me, coming in hype, ready to throw down, and then me coming to you, approaching you physically softly, but verbally maybe a little high. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think your nonverbal expression kind of tells where you are too. Even I just got a big mouth. I don't know how to do it.
And it's okay to accept that. Don't fight. Don't argue.
I'm working on it. So let's move on. Let's move on. We ain't talking about me. All right, we talking about y'all. So again, creating healthy boundaries leads to feeling safe, loved, calm, and respected. They are an indication of how you allow people to show up for you and how you show up for others. That's it right there.
Yep.
Let's go to this right quick before we go to our levels. The meaning of boundaries: they are a safeguard to overextending yourself. They are a self-care practice. They define roles in relationships. They communicate acceptable and unacceptable behaviors in relationships. That's good.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
That's real good. They are parameters for knowing what to expect in relationships. They are a way that you ask people to show up by upholding your needs. They are a way to communicate your needs to others. They are a way to create healthy relationships. They are a way to create clarity, and they are a way to feel safe. Now, here it is. Listen at this. People say that people don't know how to treat them, but watch this. A boundary is a cue to others how to treat you. So really, you and I teach other people how we need to be treated.
Right.
Without setting a boundary, and that's just going through the motions like you're okay with the way people treating you, that's on you,
right?
Not on them. They may not feel like they're doing any harm at all. I've had people come to me and say, Pastor, I'm with it. I'm with service. I'm allowed. I sing, I shout, I dance. Sometimes I praise. I'm loud. I'm on the microphone. I'm just a loud personality. I have to let them know I'm okay with you not being like this.
Yeah.
And I do believe that they are worshiping in spirit and in truth without all that noise that I'm making.
Yeah.
I do believe that. I believe that with all my heart. And when I see them worshiping, I can see the intensity of their worship on their face. And I know that they're giving their heart to God in those moments. I know that they're surrendering in those moments. I know that they're letting God do a work in their heart in those moments. I get joy seeing them worship like that. But that ain't the way I worship, and the way I worship isn't the way they worship. This is who they are.
Right.
And accepting that, man, that's so beautiful. That keeps people that know that. Now, you're not going to be able to explain that to everybody.
Right.
But and which means you ain't gonna never be. I ain't gonna never be able to, because people judge me for being loud as I am, and high spirited.
Yeah.
I don't know why you think it takes that much. Well, I don't know if it takes that much or not. I've just been like this.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
And it may not take that for you, but it may take, because I'm quiet on a regular basis. But Kiana has told me several times, you're very loud at church. Like if I'm praising, like I'm loud. I'm never going to be as loud as you because I'm just naturally don't have the same volume level capacity that you have. But for me, that's probably the loudest that anybody will ever hear me is praising at church.
Yeah.
And that's just how, but I also have times where I can worship quietly and the intensity of it is just as intense.
And what's weird is at home, the Holy Spirit comes up on me and I'm extremely quiet.
Yeah. But at home, when the Holy Spirit comes upon me, I'm super loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scaring the neighbors.
I'm like,
loud.
Okay. And I'll be, y'all, I'm telling you right now. I don't care where the room, when you close the door, the rooms are airtight. You can't hardly hear nothing. But I'm telling you, when this girl go into prayer or worship in her home, you can hear her all the way outside, really almost, and you can tell she's praying, and it just shakes the house. The prayer that she's praying, the worship that she's in, it shakes the house, and it'd be so deep, man. I just be want to say, I always come to her and say, well, what'd he say? You know what I'm saying? I want to know. You got that deep. I want to know what y'all got going on. Y'all talking about me? You know what I'm saying? What's
Crossing
going on?
the boundary in my business.
I don't care. That's one time I don't care. You with God. I feel like me. If he says something to you, he should be saying it to me on the end of this house.
Maybe you weren't listening.
But anyway,
if somebody told me, oh, you're, being too much, that's first of all, mind your business. That's me and Jesus. You're in my business with him. Mm-hmm. That's a boundary. You don't get to tell me how to worship because that's a boundary that you can't. And that's one of the things that, and we've seen it. And I think it's just, as far as church goes, it's just poor habits that people pick up where it's like, if everybody out there is not jumping from the rafters like the person who has a mic in their hand at the time, then
they start fussing.
Oh, y'all ain't feeling nothing. Yeah. I'm feeling like it's time for you to have a seat because you're doing the most. Yeah. Because unless everybody's doing it like you're crossing a boundary with me. I think I told you that a long time ago. We were going to another church before we started pastoring in Central Arkansas. It was like, I don't like fussy worship leaders because exhortation is one thing, but the moment you start fussing, you take me out of my space of worship. You cross the boundary with me. You've taken me out of my space of worship. Yeah. And now that's a problem for me. You know what I'm saying? But 9 times out of 10, you don't get to have that conversation and say, hey, my boundary is, because it's a whole room full of people. So you just have to kind of deal with it. But when the worship leader is your husband, you can say that.
Anyway, so again, we're back to me. All right, so, but no, I mean, and guess why I learned that? I learned that because I grew. You said it last week. I grew up in an environment that crossed people's boundaries all the time. Yeah. Even when it comes to preaching, I be so proud of myself when I go back and listen to the messages, and there's very few of them where I'm not, saying to the crowd, I can't get no help in here, or y'all ain't saying nothing, or are y'all here, or y'all sleep, stuff like that. Hello lights, stuff like that, and really honestly, and then and the people come to me and say, great word, or I grew today, whatever. And, and if they can say what you said, then obviously they was there.
Yeah.
Every message is not designed to cause people to run up and down the wall. Right. I mean, it's just, if we can ever get to that point, and then God, had to deal with me about, hey, bro, listen, if you ever talking about being a professor in school, they're gonna fire you if you yell at these students.
That's going to be a boundary.
It's going to be a boundary that I can't cross, because you're the educator. They come to hear you. You didn't come to hear them yell back at you. Right. You came to educate. That's the same thing you do every Sunday in the pulpit. You coming to educate. You coming to proclaim. You coming to evangelize. You coming to inspire. You coming to disciple. it's more important for them to hear you than for you to hear them say anything to you. And you've said it before. Again, your mouth's so big, you can't hear nobody yelling at you. Everybody out here talking.
Yeah, we hear us.
We hear us. You what you talking about? You know. So again, that's just bad habits being picked up in wrong environments, being trained how to cross environments. We've seen it in certain children.
And we're made to think it's okay. To cross certain boundaries.
Yeah, because we claiming that it's for God.
Right, or I'm the person that everybody has to listen to right now. Y'all, I can cross these boundaries with you because you can't, speak back. Well, what if somebody hollered back from the crowd and was like, "Calm down, man"?
Right.
You would feel like they were crossing a boundary.
Yeah.
Well, you have to think about it in the reverse. Like, I'm here to listen.
Ooh, I hope that don't never happen.
And really, because that would be, see how crazy that would be?
That would hurt. That would hurt so bad. I probably would have to.
Everything. It would be so out of order, but I would laugh
everything
so
in
hard.
me would shrink. I would just be like, all right, church over, man. I'm through. I'll try it again.
But do you think about, though, how it might make someone out in the audience shrink if they are saying amen or they're yelling back at you and you're saying y'all ain't saying nothing, y'all dead, y'all sleep, and I'm sitting here screaming my lungs out, but you can't hear me over your own mouth,
and it causes discouragement in the people who are participating.
Doing it. Yes, because it's like
true.
Yeah. So hopefully nobody ever yells back at you and says
I can see, because what's so crazy, because I can't stand preaching like that myself. If I'm not the preacher, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Yet I struggle with the behavior.
But it shows you how we're sometimes programmed to think it's okay to cross other people's boundaries, but to hold our boundaries so close. You know what I'm saying? And we feel like it's disrespectful to cross my boundary. I can talk to you like this, but it like don't talk to me like that. Well, you have to respect somebody else's boundary the same way that you want your boundary respected in whatever arena. It doesn't matter.
So again, a boundary is a cue to others how to treat you. We all got that right to establish the boundary, to teach people how we should be treated.
Because you might let one person treat you, somebody else might let you treat them like this. Well, so-and-so is okay with it. Well, that's them.
Right.
That's not me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I can be friends with that person, and we may have a lot of things in common, a lot of things alike, but how you talk to them or treat them or interact with them may be different. I may have different values. We may share some of the same values, but I may have different values in some areas than they do. So you have to treat me according to the values that I have in those areas. Same way I have to treat you according to the values. But if you don't express that, how am I supposed to know? I can't just treat you like I treat Jim or Bob, whoever they are.
Wow. I'm telling you, it's powerful. We definitely got to learn to teach people how to treat us rather than just expecting them to understand us by watching us or checking out our demeanor. Have the conversations. I respect people who just don't mind having the conversation. Just, I may get you wrong.
Yeah.
Even as a pastor, I may get you wrong. I may be struggling with something, PTSD, anything.
Yeah.
We do.
Because sometimes things look like something that you've experienced in the past, and it may not even be that.
Yeah.
But you won't know if you don't. And like we said last time, if it's something that's bothering you, are the responsible party to initiate that conversation and not just think, oh, well, they know that they are irritating me, or they know that I'm gonna wait on them to come to me. No, you're just gonna be consistently irritated because they may not know.
Just like in our marriage, when we first got married, it took me every 3 months. I would be like, why?
Yeah.
Why you marry me? To a point where I did that for the first couple of years. To the point where you just broke down crying. He's like, I don't understand. I don't think I'm gonna ever be good enough for you.
Because why are you?
And it was never that. It was me watching you love me the way you did and do, but me not accepting that this is just who you are and that you're not pretending and that you're not trying to hurt me and that you're not trying to break me down or anything like that. This is just you. This is the purity of your heart. This is how you really feel about me. You really want to love me like this. This is why you got married, to love somebody like this. I just been used to crazy, and couldn't believe.
You were waiting on Crazy to
I was
show
waiting
up.
on you to.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to pop it off. I was waiting because I had some response. I had some response.
What was your response? Go
I don't know. I thought I saw you cry. I said, you know what? I'm gonna stop asking. I'm just gonna accept her love, and it's been good ever since.
Hey.
Thank you, Lord. All right,
How we doing on time?
There go. We're almost way over time, but let's deal with this right quick. There are three, because I want to come back next week. There are three levels of boundaries. Go ahead.
Porous. Yes.
Again, she helped me with the. I mean, I just kept saying Peru, and it's porous. All right, so porous, Porous.
Yes.
Porous boundaries are weak or poorly expressed and are unintentionally harmful. Look at that. They are unintentionally harmful.
Yes.
They lead to feeling depleted, overextending yourself, which is the opposite of healthy boundaries, depression, anxiety, and unhealthy relationship dynamics. Porous boundaries look like oversharing, which means you constantly over-explaining yourself all the time, trying to justify this, trying to get somebody to understand. If you got to, I learned this last year. If you got to explain that much to somebody, stop talking and walk away from the relationship. I'm just being real. If you got to explain, and I mean that with every single thing in me. If you got to keep, qualifying the way you think and the way you live, and say, oh, this ain't against you, this is for me, that kind of stuff, walk away. That's a person who is committed to misunderstanding you and misinterpreting you and getting you wrong every time. They are committed to your past, your history, and the things that they know that you have, fouled up in the past. That's what they're committed to. They are not committed to this new person that you are trying to become. They're not, and it is best for you to just say, all right, I'm done. I'm done with this.
It's okay to take some space and allow them opportunity to catch up with where you currently are. Like, you don't have to be like, I'm never going to speak to you again, but you just remove yourself, take some space, and just leave them. I'm not going to try to explain to you anymore who I am. I'm just going to, at some point you'll catch up.
Yeah.
And you just have to leave it at that.
Yeah. And you don't have to change your character for them. You just put the space in between. When they see you, you can still be kind, cordial, nice, even hug them.
Just don't keep explaining yourself.
But just don't keep explaining yourself to them.
Yeah.
All right. So oversharing, it looks like codependency. It looks almost like you can't live your life without their approval.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I could go on and on with that, but we're not going to do that. Y'all get it. Our audience is smart.
Yeah.
Enmeshment, which means it's lacking emotional separation between you and another person, which means that you can physically move from that person and still emotionally be up close.
Locked in. Yeah.
Locked in, a soul tie.
Yes, absolutely.
Soul tie. So basically, you may have moved yourself physically from their life or put distance and space between y'all emotionally or physically, but emotionally and mentally, you're thinking about what they feel based on how you are living your life in the moment because you're that codependent on their approval.
Yep.
That can be parental too. Yeah. Grown as you are, you still waiting to see what your mama got to say about how you live in your life.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry. It's kind of, all right. I say that because I'm grown.
Yeah.
All right. Porous boundaries look like inability to say so. So to say no. Man. It looks like people pleasing. Here it is. Dependency on feedback from others. Call the preacher out. Dependency on feedback from others. Or when you're going after your dreams, instead of you just being happy with your process, you got to, you trying to see how other people feel about your dreams, even though you haven't fully accomplished them. Or if you accomplish something, you don't feel good about it until other people feels good about it. Like somebody that you value has to say something about it, or celebrate you or something like that for you to feel,
in order for it to have value
to you. Yeah. And then when you don't get it, then there you go trying to go after something else that sometimes you're not even called to, just to get the response you never got the first time.
Right.
So that's the dependency on the feedback from others. It's a paralyzing fear of being rejected. Mm-hmm. You're just scared to death that I'm gonna be rejected. Somebody told me one time recently that I'm getting ready to lead this group over here and blah 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 blah. And I need something more. I need to find God, and I know this is the place that's for me. And the first thing I told them was, do you understand this? The price for leaving them is that they're gonna scandalize your name. And that person never made that choice and they still with those folks, and they admit they're not happy, they're not growing, they're not becoming who God called them to be. They admitted it, and they literally are staying there because they're paralyzed for the fear of being rejected.
Yep.
Accepting mistreatment. Porous boundaries is that somebody treats you wrong and you just tolerate it. Yeah. You just accept it. Examples of porous boundaries: saying yes to things you want to, you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. Loaning money to people because you feel obligated, or when you don't have the funds to do so. Mm-hmm. Then another level of boundaries. Level number 2 is rigid boundaries. These boundaries involve building walls to keep others out as a way to keep yourself safe. So again, this is not a real boundary. This is a wall. This is more of a prison right here. This is a prison. This keep you bound and keep other people out and keep you from living the life you would live. Right. But staying safe by locking yourself in is unhealthy and leads to a whole other set of problems. This typically comes from a fear of vulnerability, of a history of being taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. Yes, when we get older, boy, I used to do it. I don't want to get too much into that, but I was a whole hermit for 2 years and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, thought I was living too, because wasn't nobody bothering me. I wasn't bothering them.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting on you and Key on the nerves. I just go to work, come home, go in my bedroom. That's where I would sleep, eat, watch TV, study, everything in the room, in the bed. Mm-hmm. I would do everything from the bedroom. I wouldn't go nowhere. I wouldn't leave the house. And after about 2 years of doing that, Kiana came to the room and said, "How long are you going to be in here?" She said, you don't ever come out and even watch TV with me and Mom.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. And I'm a family man, but I wouldn't even come out of the room. I don't really want to pause it too long, but I think this is important. I wouldn't come out the room because I was just tired. Mm-hmm.
Because when you live on the one end of the spectrum for so long, then it's easy to go, because the rigid is the other extreme from having the porous boundaries.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you've had porous boundaries and you've been taken advantage of, and people have rejected you and mistreated you because of the porous boundaries, and you've given of yourself when you didn't really want to, and all of those things, and so at some point you just get burned out, and instead of, because you might not have had anybody to show you how to create healthy boundaries, then it's like, I'm just going to go to this other extreme of building this wall, and now I don't have to do these things because you can't even see me. I'm behind the wall. You can't get in. I'm not getting into contact with people. You can't ask me for anything. You can't expect anything from me because I'm behind these walls. And I'm just going to create my life here so that I don't even have to interact with people who might cross these boundaries that I really haven't even set up yet.
And where I was behind walls within walls.
Yeah.
So I wasn't just inside the house. I was inside the bedroom in the house.
Yeah.
Now, as far as I know, nothing could harm me outside of the bedroom, but I wouldn't come out of the bedroom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Other than to go out and go to work, or go out and get a Coke or a Mountain Dew or something, or something to eat, or go out and go to church. I wouldn't go out and do anything other than that.
Yeah.
Just lock myself in. Watch this. So, and that's a prison. That's a bad place to live in. Once my, it's one thing for Dr. Kim to do it, but when a kid comes to you and say, bro, you've been here, like got on the calendar, like you've been here for 2 years. She done marked it in time. You've been here for 2 years. You don't ever spend time with us anymore. And the crazy part about it, those 2 years went by. I didn't know those 2 years had went by. And I literally didn't know that I didn't spend time with y'all. I didn't know I didn't. Yeah. I thought I was. I thought I was. All right. So anyway, here we go. People with rigid boundaries do not allow exceptions to their stringent rules, even when it would be healthy for them to do so. If a person with rigid boundaries says, I never loan money to people, they never stray from that, even if a friend who isn't the type to borrow money is in crisis. Mm-hmm. Rigid boundaries look like this: never sharing, building walls, avoiding vulnerability, cutting people out or off, having high expectations of others, enforcing strict rules.
Yep.
Examples of rigid boundary setting: saying no harshly as a way to discourage people from asking you in the future.
Yep.
You know how to say no, but really your no is, I'm gonna say it this way right here, so you would never ask me again.
Yep.
Right? Because that's not healthy.
No.
Because what if it's something that you can do and you won't do, and it'll be a great thing for somebody else, right? Yeah. Even for you. Mm-hmm. But say you so stuck on no that you're not doing anything. I think I've been there too, a little bit. Ooh, I've been through a lot, ain't I? Having a rule that you never watch your sister's kids. That's a rigid boundary.
Yeah.
Don't ever bring them kids.
Yeah.
Don't never bring them crumb snatchers over
no
here.
Exceptions.
Ever. I don't care. I love them. They not welcome at my house.
Yeah.
Don't never bring them over here. Y'all don't come over here. Don't bring them over here. Yeah. We don't want no company over here. Take them kids.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, that's a very rigid, because like, what if there was a situation and they needed it? Then they're not even going to, then that person has to struggle with trying to figure out what they're going to do in this emergency, because your boundary, your rigid boundary is never bring them to my house.
Don't ever bring them over
Never.
Here. My house is good for your kids.
Or I just don't want, to fool it. It's just no for whatever reason. Always no. Like, how do you set up it's always going to be no situation? But that's because you're too afraid to have the healthy boundaries that say, I get to say no when I want to. And I get to say yes when I want to. Yeah. That's a healthy thing to do.
Your whole life answer is no.
Just no. So nobody has to ask you. And so you don't have to give an answer continuously in different situations. It's just, don't even ask them, because they already going to say no.
I'm going to say this. For people who really don't want to be by themselves, and I think that I've said no so many times to so many people, and I've cut so many people off in my life sometimes. I have a great deal of regret for that, because I didn't realize that I was emotionally unhealthy. I didn't know that life circumstances had placed me in a position, and I think I'm helping somebody.
Yeah.
That's why I'm allowing us to go longer.
People don't know.
I don't think people know what they're doing when they do that, because you keep pushing people back long enough and they'll never come back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the reality. Like, if you, healthy boundaries is teaching people, it's the people's cue on how to treat you. Mm-hmm. If you choose to walk in a rigid or a porous boundary, if you choose to have those levels of boundaries right there, one thing about it, you're going to be the one that lose the most, not them.
Yeah,
you're going to lose the most. I feel like some people that I could have loved and I could have fixed relationships with, I chose just to cut them off. I'm done. Why? Because it put me in an emotional space I didn't want to be in. I never wanted to feel it again. I felt like you were taking advantage of me, and I decided you are no longer worthy of being in my life. And just because people, God help us, just because people have flaws does not mean that they are worthless.
Right.
That's one thing I have certainly learned in the last few years of my life. Just because people have flaws, it doesn't deem them to be worthless.
Right.
It does not. Because in that case, you and I are worthless because we all have flaws.
Right.
And the key is the boundaries are really for those flaws in our humanity, because that's what offend us. People's flaws. Some people, like I said again, we've seen it in people's kids. Sometimes people's kids come up and just completely disrespect your space. I'm not talking about your house. I'm talking about your physical space. They be all over you. Sometimes they don't smell good. Sometimes they got snot and stuff coming down their nose. Sometimes people just let your little baby, they know their child need a diaper change. They just let the baby walk up to you. That's a boundary for me. I'm done with changing diapers.
God.
I love your kid, but please, you change it and then let me hug the baby. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to dedicate your baby to God with a diaper full of boo-boo. Like, I just don't want to smell that. You know what I'm saying? Me and Jesus gonna have a problem. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that baby up to Jesus and give it back to you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Focus.
All right. So honestly though, at the end of the day, like, don't push what's valuable away. We so quick to do it when we under that pressure, and we don't realize what we're really doing. I could have plenty more people in my life if I hadn't been great. Listen to this, because you can be good at the wrong thing. I was great at cutting people off. Yeah. I was, in my own family, excellent. Chop.
Yeah.
And then I come back, what's up, y'all? And now when people don't respond,
and then you get frustrated because, like, how are they supposed to respond?
How are they supposed to respond to that? Like, the last time they talked to you, you basically cussing everybody out, going off, can't believe how they treating you, all this, and now you want to do that 15 times over the last 5 years, and now when they don't say anything to you, you're trying to figure out why do they have a problem. They don't trust that you normal. They don't trust you all right.
What page are you on
What
today?
page are you on today? Are you really wanting to be family, or you want to cuss us all out later? Because we don't want to be cussed out by you either.
It's one extreme to another instead of somewhere along the way setting some healthy boundaries of communication and interaction with them.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm either all, this way or nobody talk to me.
Yeah.
Forever.
I really think this platform, I'm gonna be transparent. It's the Apostles' Corner. It means is
and you are him.
I'm as him. I'm as him. And you is in my corner. And so we is gonna talk about we're gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Like, because there's some beautiful people that probably could be in my life and maybe still in yours. But me cutting them off, I required you to cut them off too.
You actually spoke for the both of us in the times when you cut.
At the time, yeah.
We feel like this.
Yeah,
and
we feel like this.
I guess that's how I feel then.
Yeah,
because it did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we do that sometimes because we don't want to be in that world alone.
Alone, yeah. We need that validation that we're cutting you off for the right reasons, and she agrees.
Yeah, whether I said I agreed or not.
Right.
It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
what do you do with that? But
because you can't want to be alone and want support at the same time.
Yeah,
that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
that show you right there. You have an emotionally unhealthy situation going on in your life.
Thank God for growth.
Absolutely. I love growth. Growth is a beautiful thing, and honestly, we should really spend all our time trying to grow. I don't know what this is, but we got something going on here. Y'all forgive us. We're not trying to.
Last week it was the music.
It was the music, and this week is the screen. Y'all forgive us. All right. So here it is.
It's real life, people.
Real life. See, I think something's going on with the internet. So, okay, here we go. All right, because my iPad just went black. All right, so here it is. Now,
We should be down to the healthy boundaries one.
yes. So healthy boundaries, and then we're gonna be done, y'all. Healthy boundaries are possible when your past doesn't show up in your present interactions. Wow, I think that's where I'm at now. I'm happy and proud of myself.
Yeah.
I'm there. They require an awareness of your emotional, mental, and physical capacities combined with clear communication.
Yes.
Healthy boundaries look like this, everyone. Being clear about your values. If you don't know, we won't know. Listening to your own opinion. Find out if your opinion matters. In other words, we all got an opinion, but the question is our opinion worth stating if it's not the truth or it doesn't have any weight to it? Here's the thing about it. What it's saying is, listen to your own opinion. You may change your opinion if you listen to how selfish it may be.
How it applies to you.
How it just applies to you.
Like if my opinion about what you need to be doing,
Yeah.
if I'm not, as what you were talking about a few minutes ago, if I'm not willing to apply that same thought process to me and what I need to be doing,
Yep.
then that's not help. But if I can say, you know what, I think that this is how it should be for, how you treat me, then I should be willing to listen to my own opinion and operate that same way as well.
Yes.
Because that's healthy.
Yes.
Not expecting something from you that I'm not going to do myself.
Right. So sharing with others appropriately, having a healthy vulnerability with people who've earned your trust.
Yes.
Man,
Yes.
pause. Trust is not cheap.
Yeah.
And when people trust you, do not step on that because you're having a bad emotional moment.
Yes.
There is nothing that those people should be able to do to you that should warrant an action that will betray their trust.
Yep. Because it is definitely more difficult to regain
it.
the trust of somebody that you already had it.
Yep.
And then for whatever reason stepped all over it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's harder to and people want it to, pop back to the same position that they were in now that I'm not having this moment.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then when that person's not able to be vulnerable with you because they now don't trust you in the same way.
Right.
But because we have like I said, having healthy boundaries allows us to be vulnerable with people in relationships that we do have trust
Yes. Yes. Man.
may not be able to be vulnerable in every relationship because I may not trust you over here.
But the trusted
but
ones,
the ones that I can't hold back my
You need to be
vulnerability
open.
in the relationships where I have trust.
you're not going to have trust without vulnerability.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. You just not going to have trust without vulnerability because I think that's what defines trust.
Yeah.
Because if you holding yourself back, I can't trust who you not bringing to the table.
Right. And people sometimes get upset because maybe in this relationship over here, this person has allowed me to express my boundaries freely and they respect my boundaries and vice versa. They've expressed their boundaries and we respect one another's boundaries. So now we're able to have that relationship of trust and I can be vulnerable with them. But maybe over here, you want me to be vulnerable with you in the same way that I'm able to be vulnerable with them. But you don't respect my boundaries.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you haven't expressed your boundaries to me to give me an opportunity to respect your boundaries as well. So we don't have the same level of trust.
Right.
So I can't have the same level of vulnerability with you. I can have that over here because it's healthy. We have healthy boundaries that have been established and we respect one another's boundaries.
It's kind of like what I heard yesterday. I heard somebody say something about like joking, people that I have trust and trusted relationships with and people who actually know me, I can tell a joke to, and I can just, I can even say what may sound insulting, but they know I'm not really trying to insult them because they know how I really feel about them. So I can say something that sounds insulting and it'll be a joke and it'll be good. I'll be good to go. All they're gonna do is probably hit me back or laugh, whatever mood they in. Whatever.
We do it all the time.
We do it all the time. You know what I'm saying? We 18 years.
And
we just talk
laugh
about
and
each
we
other.
go on.
We go about our business.
Somebody else said it.
That's the thing I love about us.
problem.
I will say this. We can insult each other. I say this all day long. That's why I tell people all the time. My marriage, our marriage is more about a friendship than just being in handcuffs, locked in to some kind of contract. At the end of the day, me and Kim, we could talk about each other bad. I mean, like, it'd be terrible. I'm going to lose because she got, all these different high, prolific sounding words. Like she just get all her jokes out the dictionary and the thesaurus and encyclopedia and, Merriam-Webster. I mean, she, I'm going to lose, but I'm going to say what I got to say. You know what I'm saying? I'll talk to her about a mama. You know what I'm saying? Or her daddy. Anybody. I'll talk about anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day.
Still going to lose.
I'm still gonna lose, but she gonna hear from me. I may lose the fight, but she gonna know she got hit, right? So she gonna be wounded in the conversation. But at the end of the day, I can say out of 18 years, not one time have we ever been in such a bad mood that when we said something like that to each other, that it ever turned into a big fight.
Yeah.
And I just realized that. Because we just do it so normally.
Yeah.
I just realized that on the show. We have none of that has ever turned into a fight. Why? Because we know how we really feel about each other.
Yeah.
We know.
And I don't think either one of us would ever say something that was just completely off limits, like you really talking sideways now, but you trying to make a joke about it. Because you're going to know in that moment, I'm not joking, and I'm going to know in that moment that you're not joking.
Yeah.
Neither one of us have ever said something that was just so out of the way that it's like, you just being foul.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I can say this about us, even when we're upset with each other.
Yeah.
We don't go so far as to keep talking until we actually insult each other and break each other. I say something to you that's going to change your belief system.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something to you that's going to change that you think, oh, he really think this about me for real? Oh, this is when he gonna say this now.
Yeah.
He gonna say this now. Oh, okay. So that must be what you really feel.
Think. Yeah.
Right? And so we've never done that in 18 years. I thank God for that. Come on, Kim. We held on. I ain't gonna lie, that's good. There's a lot of people that would take their anger out in that moment to say some things that they can't say or won't say in a regular moment. We ain't never done that.
No, because if you say at the end, that's what you think all the time.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. So anyway, being clear about your values, listen to your own opinions, sharing with others appropriately, having a healthy vulnerability with people who've earned your trust. Please don't ever leave that, y'all. Write that one down. Being comfortable saying no, and being comfortable saying no without an attitude.
Right.
You don't have to yell no, just mean no. And it's a healthy no because it's not against them, it's for you.
Yeah.
Being comfortable hearing no, that's another good one.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, without taking it personal.
Yes. Like it's okay for someone to tell you no.
Man.
Yeah.
Man. That's what I heard at the last pastor wouldn't let me. The last husband I had, last wife, just everything is related to your past. That's one of the first things it says. The first thing it says in a healthy boundary is that basically that you don't ever bring your past. Mm-hmm. It don't have no control over your future. So, all right, let's finish this. Being comfortable saying no, being able to hear comfortably hearing no without taking it personally. Your anxiety shouldn't go up. You should get bad. You shouldn't feel like it's against you or none of that. It's just, you just heard the word no. You didn't,
It's okay.
It's not an earthquake. You know what I'm saying? So don't have a heartquake. All right. So anyway, here's the last two things. Examples of healthy boundary settings. Saying no without apologizing because it's the healthiest choice for you at the moment.
Right.
I'm so sorry that I don't.
It's just,
at another time. No, I don't know if it's another time. And the answer is no.
Just let it be known.
God bless you. I pray you find somebody else. Right. You know what I'm saying? What's the thing on TikTok? Find somebody else. Get somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
Get somebody else to do it. Yep.
So silly. Focus.
All right. Last thing. Examples of healthy boundary setting is supporting people financially when appropriate. Lord help. Thank you, Jesus.
When appropriate.
When appropriate. And when you can, do so without causing financial harm to yourself.
Yep.
My Lord. Lord, restore the money that I have shared with others that I could have used myself. Amen. No.
Just establish the appropriate disciplines and boundaries in your life, and the Lord will help you moving forward.
Amen.
Don't bring the past into your present. Healthy boundaries.
Y'all heard her correcting me on my show? Don't be surprised when she come up missing next week.
I'm going to be right here.
Amen. Listen, y'all, this was great. And we hope and pray that you are gaining from this. Is real work. This is hard work and it's hard work. Yeah. It's hard work and it's hard work. And you have to do it every day. And you have to decide which, yes, you may feel like you've been, have that scripture that says God don't show favoritism. Honestly, God doesn't. And neither should you. But you do have a right to decide who will be up close and who will not. If they're unhealthy for you, you have to set a boundary. There's some people who just want to be up close for the sake of being up close, but they don't want to be up close in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. And you have to decide, no matter how much you love that individual, where they stand in your life. Even if they say, well, I don't have all that going on, and so you can just come in and out. Well, that's them.
That's your boundary.
That's your boundary.
Right.
But if I don't feel safe with you in my world, then I have to do what I have to do. And they may feel slighted, but you have to be okay with establishing your boundary. All right, y'all. That's all we got this week. God bless y'all. We'll see you next week. Look, subscribe on YouTube and follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Follow us and you can even communicate with us and ask questions there, inbox, whatever the case may be. Listen, Dr. Kimberly, I'm so thankful to be able to come to you this season. I'm enjoying my time with you. This is a really wonderful conversation.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
I think we have walked through this in so many areas in our life. So I think that's what qualifies us to talk about boundaries. Yes. Guys, we'll see you next week. God bless y'all.